Okay, before I jump into this video, I would like to ask people to please hit that like button if you like what I do here on my channel, and also please feel free to leave as many comments as you like. I'm asking this up front because, as some of you know, there is a YouTube creator out there who is, it appears to be a little bit jealous for some reason of me and my content, and is telling their subscribers not to come over and watch my videos. They are telling them that I am, and I quote, nobody and stupid, extremely stupid. And that, quote, I got most things blatantly wrong. Now, I'm not interested in creating some sort of drama war, but I'm just sharing that with you because it does damage my channel when someone does that. And it does discourage people from coming over and watching my content. So that is why I am asking you up front to hit the like button and to leave comments on my videos. They're the two things that get my videos out there into the algorithm, get them seen by people, and hopefully make up for the fact that there are people who apparently are willing to listen when they're told, don't go to that channel. I've also been looking at various statistics this morning relating to my channel, and I've seen that 35% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed. So please do, if you like what I'm putting out here, please subscribe. And then theoretically, you will be notified of any videos that I upload. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't always do that, but you should be notified when I upload new videos. And in terms of that, I've got a few quite large projects on the go that are going to be worth seeing. So I would recommend subscribing if you do like the sort of content that I put out. And I'm also going to give a plug for membership. I don't usually do that, but I should probably mention that with this case, I've been putting more videos in the members only section. Some of that is just me doing more relaxed kind of videos that are less structured, and I've always done that for members. I like to do the occasional less structured video where I just do a general case discussion. But also there are times when I do content that I don't particularly want to put out in public because of what I'm discussing. So then I will put that as a members video. There's actually quite a few members videos relating to this case at the moment. And I know that there are many people out there that just can't afford membership. I keep it at the lowest tier, it's about $3. But even still, for some people doing that on a monthly basis is a struggle and they can't get membership. I appreciate that. And I know that when there's a channel that you like, that it is frustrating if they have content that is members only because you would like to watch all their content. But I feel it's important that I give back to people who are members, those people who are able to support my channel, by creating things that are exclusive for them. It's my way of saying thank you for your support of my channel. So, you know, it's a catch-22. I would love to just be like, okay, everyone can just get all the same content. I'm not going to have memberships. But at the end of the day, I'm not one of these channels that has a huge financial backing outside of YouTube. So for me, it's the memberships, it's the Patreon memberships, the Buy Me a Coffee, all those sort of things that basically help me to continue with my channel. I should also probably mention, for those people, there's been a few people recently, or a number of people recently, asking why I don't do live streams. on one hand, if I'm doing an analysis video, I prefer to be able to take my time with it so that I can really go back and look at things a few times before I make a comment, take my time to really analyse, take a break when it becomes a little bit much, because some of the people in this case are just so painful to listen to. But in terms of other content and doing live streams, yes, I would love to be able to do live streams. I've just started covering the Melody Buzzard case, and there's more going on with that. There's updates with that, which I haven't had time to talk about. And certainly in instances like that, it would be great to be able to do live streams. However, at the moment I'm working off an iPad, which means that in terms of sharing any kind of media, videos, photos, etc., I can't do that. So, yes, I am working in the background on saving up to purchase myself a MacBook, but obviously, that's something that is going to take a bit of time for me to get there. So in the meantime, I can't really do live streams, so I am limited to doing pre-recording with my videos. So anyway, let's jump in and take a look at this latest interview with the utterly wonderful Belynda Gray. I am so grateful that there is someone who is here to speak up for Jack and Lily, and who is here because they care about them, not because they're trying to push some narrative to save their ass. Now, I just want to say I love that the community that I've built here on my channel is so very supportive of Belynda and is so positive in their comments and stuff with regards to Belynda or Chelsea. And I do very much appreciate people's kindness and understanding, and I hope that we can keep it that way in this video also. Now, there is an accompanying article that goes with this. If you wanted to look it up, just search up CTV on the internet and you should be able to find the article that goes with it. Anyway, so on that note, let's just jump straight in.
Lily is 6 years old. Jack is, well, he's going to be 5 years old this month.
Belynda Gray can barely speak through the tears, describing the children she hasn't seen in years.
The last time they were here, they were still basically babies. Lily was 4. She was such a carbon copy of me. She copied everything I did. And Jack was more sober. He was just crawling around the floor, learning to walk.
This photo, it's not a glamour shot, but it is one of my favourite photos of Lily, because it's a photo that it's all about love. Knowing the context of the photo, we know that, and same with Jack on this little rocking horse. This rocking horse was at Belynda's place also. And we know that these photos here in front of us they are a picture of love. They're not just a picture of these children, but they're a picture of the love that was given to them. And it makes me sad as well. But I have a question, and it's something that has been bothering me for a while. I'm just wondering, when Belynda was actually able to have access to these children, in terms of Jack, was he showing any early signs of becoming defiant? Was he showing any signs of stubbornness? Because we've heard this from both Wade and Janie. And while obviously I don't put a lot of credit into what Janie says, because we know Janie didn't like the children and they probably sensed that. But Wade has said that Jack would dig in his heels and basically become defiant at times. And I'm just wondering if that is something that was part of his personality, or if it is something that has developed in recent years as a result of his environment.
It's been 2 years since Gray last held Jack and Lily Sullivan, and months since anyone has seen them at all.
Your grandchildren are what you leave this world. They're a part of you.
When Lily and Jack went missing, Gray says she joined the search herself.
We started working our way up through the woods along a brook. And then we crossed over the brook and we started coming back down through the woods.
For Gray, hope quickly turned to suspicion, especially after their mother left the area.
When I found out Malaya left, I knew there was no sense searching anymore.
Belynda has described that as being like a gut punch when she found out that Malaya had left. And I can't even begin to fathom what that must have felt like. But I just want to say, right there is grandmother's instincts kicking in. Wasn't just about logical thinking. I think in her heart, she knew what the situation was. And to me, that's one of the things that makes me especially angry with Malaya. Not only is she not willing to speak up for her own children, but she's too selfish to consider the pain that she's causing other people. Now, obviously, Daniel's family, they couldn't give two hoots about anyone other than the people in their family. But Malaya has a history with Belynda. She has her grandmother, who would probably surely have to be devastated at the loss of these children. There are people in Malaya's family who cared for these children. But Malaya's putting herself above all of them. She's too selfish to stop and think about how much she is hurting other people. And, I think that someone probably needs to tell Malaya to look up people like Casey Anthony, because that stigma will never leave you, Malaya. 10, 20 years down the track, people will still be looking at you the same way that they see you now. It will never change unless you turn around and do the right thing for your children.
Started making me think, I don't think these babies wandered off.
She hopes police can bring her closer to the truth.
I hold them all accountable. I don't know how 2 kids can go missing.
That's what it comes down to, isn't it? And a lot of people seem to forget that because they are getting so caught up in whatever new version of the narrative is being pushed out by Daniel and his family that they don't actually stop and think that there were at least 3 people on that property when those children went missing. And every one of those people has lied. They have backed up each other's stories, but they've also contradicted each other's stories. They've contradicted their own stories. They all need to be held accountable.
RCMP say they combed through every possible lead, but Gray feels police could have acted faster.
I don't care what the criteria is for an Amber Alert. When you have vulnerable children missing, it should be an automatic alert.
Every day, Gray checks her phone, hoping for a message, a post, a headline, anything saying they've been found.
Now, in terms of the Amber Alert, this is one of my biggest bugbears. The Amber Alert exists in several countries. But honestly, it is broken. If you are not familiar with the origins of the Amber Alert, it originated in 1996 in Texas, in Arlington, Texas, when a little girl by the name of Amber Hageman was abducted. She'd gone for a bike ride with her little brother. And they went further than they were meant to go. Her little brother felt guilty. He knew they were doing the wrong thing and he went back home. Amber, being a little bit older, a little bit braver, stayed where they'd been playing. It was a abandoned car park and there was a ramp that they were riding down, up and down. And a man came and basically snatched her off her bike and abducted her. She was found several days later in a culvert. There was a witness who saw the man who abducted her, and he was able to give a description of the man and the man's truck. Now, sadly, this case still has not been solved, but it was because of Amber's abduction that someone in the area came up with the idea of an alert that radio stations could put out if a child had been abducted, when they could give out the information that was known. Now, the thing is, we're talking 1996. This was the days of clunky dial-up internet, and almost nobody had internet. The only way of getting information out quickly was through the radio stations. People didn't have mobile phones. People had landlines. So the idea was that the radio stations would get this information out really quickly. Hopefully people could keep an eye out for the vehicle or the child, and then they could be found. The Amber Alert has made a difference, and there have been many, many children saved because of the Amber Alert. But we live in a digital age. It shouldn't have to be anymore about being able to provide the details of a vehicle to give people something to look for, because that's what it was about. To be able to, to hear on the radio, an 8-year-old child is missing, she has long dark hair with a fringe and was wearing these clothes. What are people going to do with that? They can't see the photo. But these days, we can get these photos out immediately. So the requirements for an Amber Alert are outdated, because a photo of a missing child is actually going to be just as valuable as a description of a vehicle, and so much more valuable than a description of an individual. So it shouldn't matter if they don't have a description of a vehicle. If a child is reported missing, the moment they have an image of that child, then they should be pumping out an Amber Alert. Now, I've heard that in terms of radius, they go with 100 kilometres per hour that child is missing, based on travelling speed, essentially, if a child was abducted. So by 10 o'clock, they could be pushing out an Amber Alert within a 200 kilometre radius. Now, as much as I hate to say it, everything points to the fact that these children are deceased. The RCMP themselves have said there is no evidence of an abduction. The lengths that the people involved are going to try and cover their asses, to try and change the narrative anytime people question it, are enough to demonstrate that they are responsible. They know what happened to these children. And I hate to say it, but there's no way that these children are still alive. But even still, when it comes to an Amber Alert, it is broken.
To see if there's any new family members coming out speaking. And that's off and on all day. That goes on right up till I go to bed.
I'd like to know if Malaya is thinking about her children from the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to bed. Or if, as I suspect, she's pushing them out of her mind, trying to pretend it never happened.
Along the 40-kilometer stretch in Lansdowne Station where 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan lived, cadaver dogs searched the woods and trails just a few weeks ago. RCMP say they came up empty-handed, but families say they're still holding out hope the children will be found soon. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Upper Muscatawbet.
So many of us are working really hard behind the scenes in terms of trying to find ways to help with this case, trying to find ways to help find Billy and Jack. But at the same time, I know I'm not the only one who wishes that there was more that I could do, who wishes I could think of more ways that I could help. But I just want to put this out here publicly for Belynda, for Chelsea, for anyone else who is part of Jack and Lily's family that aren't a part of what happened to them and genuinely care. I am not going anywhere. I am going to continue to do whatever I can to try and help with this case. I'm going to continue to get their names out there and get their story told. So, Belynda, you will never be alone in this. There are several creators who've got your back. And I know that amongst my subscribers, there are so many people who've got your back. And I probably should apologise because I know quite often the focus is all on Belynda. And I know that Chelsea is their aunt. She cares about these children too. And it's not a slight on Chelsea that we focus on Belynda. It's that Belynda is front and centre. And I don't blame Chelsea for wanting to just be there in the background. It's just that we see Belynda, and sometimes it's easy to forget that she's not the only member of her family who cares about these children. So that brings us to the end of this video. It's a bit of a shorter one, but I guess that also gives me a bit of time to breathe and work on some of my behind the scenes projects. It also means that I can get into the next instalment of the members video series that I've been working on. So members, just keep an eye out for that. That will be there for you to see very soon. Unless, of course, I lose my voice, which seems to be a possibility right now. I'm trying very hard here. So if you don't see that video, members, it'll probably be because my voice has been reduced to a squeak. Anyway, thanks for listening. Like I said at the beginning, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would actually like to try and reach 7,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for me it's huge and I'd love to make it there. Also, please hit that like button. That's important for getting this video out there into the algorithm. And please leave a comment below. So thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.